Mr. Stumblebum. That was a very interesting presentation. Now we are fortunate enough to be hearing from one of the smartest brains of the 21st century. Give us a hand for Professor Timothy Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. It's a real honor to be here at the Institute. And thank you, Professor Stumblebum. Again, that was a magnificent presentation. You really are brilliant. I can see why Professor Don Chalmers, is so influenced by your early work. Of course, yours is much more sophisticated, but nevertheless, Don really does appreciate your work. I've been asked to talk about are patents a problem? Are patents an issue in biotechnology today? It's my great pleasure to have the opportunity to do that. Well, what I'd like to say about the issue of patents is I think it's fair to say that patents certainly, the issue of patenting certainly has become almost a mythical concern in the area of biotechnology. And I think it's fair to say that given the evidence that's available, given the cumulative nature of the evidence that is available, patents certainly have not emerged as much of a social concern as people originally thought. I'm talking about the anti-commons concern. I'm talking about the concern that patents were going to have this dramatically adverse impact on genetic research. That certainly hasn't played out. And I think the evidence tells us that, whether it's Walsh's evidence, whether it's the research from the AAAS, whether it's Holman's research, and of course there's many other individuals who have worked on this, including some individuals who are currently participating in a Tasmanian workshop on point. So given that cumulative evidence, I think it's fair to say that patents have not had as much of a dramatic impact on research as initially anticipated. So are they a problem in that context? Perhaps, but certainly not as big a problem as originally portrayed. Having said that, I think it's fair to say that patents may emerge as a problem. There's some interesting work that is being done, again, by some individuals such as Tanya Bubla and the people at Duke University that have shown that patents do have an impact on the research environment. Whether that impact is good or bad, I think, is an open question and one that requires further investigation. Another interesting part of the story, of course, is the fact that genetic information itself has proven not to be as valuable as originally anticipated. I think part of the concern about gene patents was tethered to this belief that genetic information was going to be tremendously valuable and tremendously important. That really hasn't, by and large, really hasn't played out. The genetic revolution has not emerged, and as a result of that, the relevance of patents in this context perhaps is not as dominant or as originally anticipated. So I think that's another interesting part of the story. Another part of the story, and one I think really where a lot of the research needs to focus on, is the broader concern about commercialization more generally. There is a tremendous amount of pressure now to translate scientific research, to translate the work that's being done in the context of universities. Part of this is tied to the belief that university research can be an engine of economic growth. Part of this is the idea that people should be getting a return on their investment into research. And that pressure, I think, is tangible, and work that I've done with Tanya Bubla has shown that, and of course many other people have done other interesting work in this regard. So I think what we need to get is a sense of what impact is that pressure having on university researchers, even if we removed patents, even if we got away with banned patents altogether, would we still have many of the concerns that have been tied to patents, the idea of withholding of information, the idea that things will be prematurely implemented, etc. Are those things really commercialization concerns, or are they patent concerns? So I hope this is something that people will continue to discuss. Even the people at the conference in Tasmania, I hope they pick up that theme. And it is a dominant theme. If you look at what Obama has said in his State of the Union address, the idea that we are going to be using research to further economic growth. Very recently, Cameron in England has said a similar thing about using biomedical research to drive innovation and to drive economic growth. And of course, my own country of Canada, we're seeing that also. The NRC, our National Research Council, is now pushed towards a translation, towards a commercialization ethos. So this trend clearly exists, and I think that is where a lot of the research should focus. It's been a great pleasure to have the opportunity to speak here at the Institute, particularly to follow Professor Stumblebum. I am also a big fan. I'm not just, I joined Don Chalmers in admiring your work. Madam Chair, again, thank you for that very kind introduction. And I'd also like to pass on a hello to all my friends in Tasmania, who I understand right now, Madam Chair and Professor Stumblebum, are engaged in a very interesting conversation that will touch on many of the issues that we've talked about here at the Institute. So thank you very much, and I look forward to further discussions.